Hello everyone and welcome back to Harvest Moon Wonderful Life Special Edition. I don't actually want to save thank you. Thank you so much. I would rather not save. So, welcome to the evening edition. The evening edition. Yeah, wake up. So last time, I had mentioned that I would probably record this early. Ha! Yeah, I was busy preparing for my exam, thank you, and doing a number of other interesting things. Don't mind me, I have coffee. Not coffee, I have tea. There's a big difference between coffee and tea. This particular tea, for example, is caffeine-free. I am drinking some apple cinnamon tea with honey added to it because I only have like one more thing of peppermint, and I tend to save my peppermint tea for when I have long recording sessions, and that wasn't happening today. Hi. Yes, you're fine. Good. You literally take up 2 slots in my coop and give me nothing. They give me nothing in return. This is sad. Anyway, so yeah, I had an exam at 4:30 p.m. on the day that this is being recorded, which is Monday, the 14th, something like that. I forget. What day is today? 14th. Yeah, cool. So, got up this morning. It was like 9:30. It was real late. I slept in. I was definitely sleeping in because it wasn't until 4:30 p.m. Do you know when I started studying for this exam? Like actually looking over my notes and, well, more like just looking over my notes. Do you know what time that started? Like 1. It was something like 1 p.m. when I started looking at stuff, and the exam was at 4:30. And there's like an hour time where I travel, because I have to take the bus, and that takes about an hour. I left at like 2. So yeah, I didn't spend a heck of a lot of time studying, but in the end it turned out fine. I completely bypassed the fodder, didn't I? Yep. Alright, you need to wake up. Until that happens, hi. Question of the day, can I brush? Can I wash you here? I don't think so. Can I like push you closer and then take out the brush and wash you with this? No, because this is their water trough. The other one's their water trough as well, so I don't know why I can wash them at the one outside and not the one inside, but oh well. So yeah, I had the exam, comprehensive final exam. Although, like 70% of the exam was content between the last exam and this particular exam. So the past 4 lectures / 2 weeks of content. By the way, Van arrives today because it's the 8th. So yeah, the past 2 weeks of content is what 70% of our final exam covered, and then the final 30% was split between 3 questions that were comprehensive questions, but were like essays. So there was essentially 3 essay questions to have to answer, and he gave us those like last week, Monday of last week. So we had, well, he gave us a list of 10 possible essay questions a week beforehand. So we knew that he would pick from 3 from this list. So if you knew what you would write for all 10 of them, then you were fine. And such was the case with me. It's just I went through the questions a while ago, and I just refreshed my memory on them in my, quote, what some would probably not call studying, but what I call studying, at least for me. Just looking over my notes and stuff, read the questions, formulated what I'd write in my mind beforehand. And yeah, I was happy that he picked the ones that he picked. I can say that for certain because I had really good responses to all 3 of them. So that was fine. I wrote basically like a page for each of them. And even then, it's like, it's not fully comprehensive answers, even taking full pages for them. So it's like, because these were very, very broad sort of types of questions. Very, very, very broad sort of questions. Like one of them is, the last question asked, now this is of course about rivers and lakes. It says that it's a common thought, well, not really a thought, it's commonly taught in some ecology courses that the factors that influence rivers and lakes are effectively the same. That rivers and lakes are part of this general aquatic systems sort of category, and different factors will affect them in the same manner. Why is this not true? That's basically what it asks. It's like, why is that not actually true? Which it isn't. So, and it's not. And the whole course was essentially a course in answering why that isn't the case. Things like temperature changes as that's like as a factor, influence lakes and rivers in different ways. In rivers, temperature over time influences the amount of dissolved oxygen in the system. Rivers constantly it's constantly upturning its water column. So the way rivers work is that they flow in this helical pattern. So you've got the bottom water always mixing with the top water, so everything's uniform. And in summertime, when it's warmer, the amount of dissolved oxygen goes down. And towards the winter, the amount of dissolved oxygen goes up. Are you stuck? Please tell me you're stuck. Please. You're totally not talking to each other. You are stuck. Oh well. It appears they were just talking. Did I go this way yet? I forgot. We're gonna be greeted by a cutscene of him opening up shop around 12:30-ish. Or noon. However long it takes him to get there. So yeah, and then temperature. That's how temperature affects rivers. How does it affect lakes? Well, lakes are so deep that it doesn't really impact their amount of dissolved oxygen that much. What it actually does is that over the course of a year, many lakes experience what's called lake turnover. All you need is just an average temperature of about 4 degrees Celsius, and you need a little bit of wind. And the entire lake will turn over. During other times of the year, mainly in summer and autumn, not autumn, but summer and winter, the lake will be stratified in that the surface temperature in summer will be quite high because it's summer. And then the temperature at the very bottom will be like 4 degrees. It'll be 4 degrees Celsius at the very bottom, if the lake is deep enough. During winter, it's the same thing, except the surface is 0, essentially. It's frozen water at the surface. And then at the very bottom, it's 4 degrees. And this is Celsius, mind you. So what happens is that there's this little boundary layer that happens between the surface and the bottom, and that's called the thermocline. And basically, stuff can't pass through the thermocline very easily. Life finds it hard to pass through it. Small life, mind you. And it prevents nutrients from coming up to the surface when it's stratified like that. And once it turns over, all the nutrients at the bottom can start coming right up to the surface where there's actually light. And suddenly you've got this great, huge amount of nutrients and a lot of light, and that's when you get a lot of algal growth. Everything is happy when you have nutrients. So that's like how the temperature affects lakes, and that was basically like what I responded to that question. It's like, well, here's a factor in the different ways that it affects these two systems. And there's a whole lot of other things too, but on one page, that's how I answered it. And there was a previous question about the turnover, because there's different patterns of turnover in lakes. You can either not turn over, you can turn over like once a year, you can turn over twice a year, and then you can turn over like multiple times, or like every other year or something like that. And so basically just explain what happens in those systems, what does like life have to deal with in those systems, kind of a deal. I know I have other sharks here, yeah. Yeah, 1440 sounds good. Other than that, you can go to hell. I don't think I have anything I want to really sell him, other than those sharks. I mean, if I have huge rain bob or huge hutchip, which I don't. I mean, I do have this, like, ore and coins and statues and ore and bananas and oranges and all that stuff, but I'm not gonna bother right now with any of that. Instead, we're gonna go fishing while I continue to talk. But that was more of the comprehensive type portion. The rest of it was just on what we had covered during these past 4 lectures, which was resource management. Like that's one lecture on that. Wetlands, ephemeral wetlands, and caves and springs. Those were the other 3 lectures of the 4. So it was easy enough. I found it fairly simple. To be completely honest, I probably got an 80 or an 85. I never anymore assume that I've done A quality work. I never assume that anymore. I used to. There used to be a time where I would do that, but not anymore. I take what I get, and it's usually a B. This class in particular, my average on the tests that we have taken is like 83, something like that, around there. My lowest test score was the second test. We had 4 normal tests, and he takes the highest of 3. So he essentially drops 1. And the second test was the one I did the worst on. That was like a 78, I think. The rest were mid to low 80s. So it's like, alright, fine. I'll take it. And this is a graduate level class anyway, so even though I've gotten B's on all this stuff, it all gets normalized to the rest of the class, so I might end up with an A just because graduate level course, but I mean, I'll take a B. I don't care. I don't actually care about my GPA as long as I don't get a C, which she's not going to give to anyone in the class regardless of what they got for an overall grade. Again, because graduate level course, it's like professors don't want to give out grades lower than a C in a course that's graduate level. That is a C, because that says bad things about them and their teaching, rather than the students' inability to actually perform well. And of course, they'd have to see the student again as they retake the course, because C's are demonic in the graduate level. C's are essentially F's at graduate level. In case you didn't know, you need to maintain above a 3.0, and C's are highly frowned upon. You have to do well in the graduate level coursework. Anyway, what else besides that has been going on? Well, yesterday I thought it would be a good idea to purchase a rather expensive thing. Well, not really a thing, but set of things. And that would be the entire set of expansion / DLC content for The Sims 4. All of it. Everything that currently exists, because I didn't own it yet, and when I had originally bought The Sims 4, I told myself, this time, I'm going to buy all the stuff. So this time, I'm going to buy all the stuff. And yes, I was just about to say, buy all the shit. It ended up being stuff, or something like that, I don't know. I told myself at the time when I first bought the game, oh hey, a Shark. I could run over and sell it to Van, but I don't feel like it. I told myself I was gonna buy it as it came out, but circumstances happened, and I hadn't been able to buy any of it up to now. Well, I haven't had the willpower to say to myself that it's worth buying any of it up to now, because I really didn't end up playing the game all that much. It's like I had bought the game, I played it for a little bit, not too much, and I really just stopped after a little while. It was a similar situation with Sims 3 either. I never really got mega into Sims 3 either. Really, I did get into Sims 2 for a bit, and I have played Sims 1. In fact, in my opinion, the best Sims games are the console editions of Sims 1 and 2. the console editions of Sims 1 and 2. That was like my first experience with The Sims, was Sims 1 on console. Because on console, the Sims games actually have a point to them. They actually are games in Sims 1 and for Sims 1 and in Sims 2. And I have played the Herbs Sims in the city. I have actually played that. I don't see why people hate that particular game, to be completely honest. But anyway, on console, those two, the point is to get a job and advance your career. And in both of them, actually, you start off in like your mother's house. That's Sims 1. I forget Sims 2, but you start off like with your mother, and then you live with a roommate, and then you finally are able to, and like you live with your mother, you save enough, you like get a job, save enough money to move out, you find like a place with a roommate, and then like depending on where your career goes, you move to various different places to go with your career. I think that's more along the lines of Sims 2, where there's actually like really interesting places. Like if you go down the military career track, you'll eventually just like live on an army base during that. It's pretty hilarious. I really like the console editions of Sims 1 and 2. They were great. Van's leaving, so I guess it's time for the evening chores. AKA more milk. And that's about it. More milk! More milk! Give me more milk! Need all the milk on the planet. Can't believe I chopped like half of my field in one day. Ah, joy. So yeah, I bought all the like expansion stuff for Sims 4. That's where I'm going with this. I bought all the expansion stuff for Sims 4. And stuff packs and game packs and yeah, whatever. Lots of stuff, like $175 with tax. That was like the total purchase price for all of it. It was crazy. It was crazy. And I also downloaded last night was going through mods as the stuff was downloading. Grabbed a bunch of mods for it. Problem with Sims 4, if you didn't know, is that it doesn't really do mods that well. Like, it seems to be rather limited in terms of what you can do for modding Sims 4. They really, really were pretty strict on what you would be able to mod in it. Like, I remember Sims 2 in particular had a huge modding scene. Huge modding scene for Sims 2, and Sims 3 had a pretty fair-sized modding scene as well, but Sims 4, the modding scene does not seem to be that huge. I don't know if it's just a time thing, it being newer, but it just doesn't seem like there's not a lot of substantial mods. Like, most of it, people can add traits, so there's trait mods. There you can add clothing and furniture, but there's not much you can do to actual gameplay. And you can't like screw around with the models all too much for the actual Sims. You can't like mess with them too much either. Oh, that is one big Columbo. So it's really interesting. I've noted that with a lot of games, you can tell how big the modding community is by the amount of adult mods that exist for those certain games. Like, there are a lot of adult mods for Skyrim, for instance. There are a lot of adult mods for Sims 2. There are adult mods for Sims 3. Sims 4, they're nearly non-existent. It's like, oh my god. Either that or I've been looking in the wrong places. Because, holy damn, there's just practically nothing. This exists, mind you. But nowhere near the level of previous Sims games. It's like, what? How? How is this a thing? I don't know. I don't know how this is a thing. But it is a good indicator of how well it's doing from a modding scene perspective. Anyway, I think that's about it for the day. Is there anything else I wanted to say? I don't really think so. Other than, I think I already mentioned that I had been recording Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. I finished the fucker. I finished recording it. Got my 1001% on it. About darn time. Those videos will go up daily over my vacation. And will actually last through the 13th or something like that. Lasts a while. But hey, they're done. As for this series, of course, it's going to stop, and Binding of Isaac will take over while I am on vacation. Anything else happen? I don't think so. There was the exam, and there was the Sims thing, and all I really did was render out the videos yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was rendering videos. That was like the whole of the day, and what I had, as they were rendering in my queue in Adobe Media Encoder, my PC crashes, which completely kills the queue for everything that was left to render. So there's one broken render that didn't finish, like one broken output file, and then the rest is just gone, as if it doesn't exist. So it's like I have to go into my temp folder to find all the files that had all the edits that I had made, all the editing that was done, and it was a hassle, but I did manage to get everything back after the crash. And then Firefox completely killed all of its cookies. Like, everything was deleted off of Firefox. I don't know how the hell that happened from a computer crash, but man, it sucked. Everything was gone off of Firefox. So, anyway, with that, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Showboat. I'll see you all next time, and for now, I have tea.